These are the 6 must-draft running backs that you need in 2023 fantasy football, starting with Mr. Jonathan Taylor of the Indianapolis Colts here. Now, I discussed Jonathan Taylor in a video that I did last week and why I am so big on taking him specifically right now in fantasy football drafts. I understand that he is going through a hold-in right now with the Indianapolis Colts. Essentially, he is there at practice right now, but he is not practicing, and he is in street clothes on the sidelines, looking pouty. You know, everything that the media doesn't want him to do is what he is doing right now. And I've also discussed the fact that with this running back holdout situation, I don't see a real solution to the answer other than the running backs playing. And that's why I believe Jonathan Taylor will play. So if the doubt here is that Jonathan Taylor won't play, don't let that be the reason that you don't pick Jonathan Taylor, because here's his reality. He is going to the last year of his rookie contract, coming off of a season where he did not play much. He was injured last season, and so they could look back to his 2021 season, which was obviously, as you can see on the screen, unbelievably great. They can look back to that and say, well, that was in 2 years ago. What can you do for us now? Can you be there? He's going to play this season, and when he does play, he is going to have his most efficient year. And the reason why he is going to have his most efficient year thus far in his career is because of the addition of Anthony Richardson, a running quarterback out of Florida University, drafted at the number 4 slot in the 2023 NFL Draft. With running quarterbacks, what you see is very efficient running backs attached to them. Miles Sanders last year with Jalen Hurts, J.K. Dobbins over the years with Lamar Jackson. The reason that they can have so many efficient running seasons is because now there are 2 running threats that a defense has to worry about. Rather than just stacking the box and making sure that the running back doesn't get many yards per carry, now the defense has to worry about the quarterback rolling out of the pocket and making plays with his own legs. That's why Jonathan Taylor is going to be very efficient this year when he does play. Now, what I will say about this particular situation, with Anthony Richardson, he's not going to see as many targets as he did in 2021, for example. Anthony Richardson can move. And the problem with running quarterbacks when they are looking at pass-catching running backs, their first instinct is to not check the ball down. Their first instinct when they face crisis and they face pressure in their face is to go and take off and run. They say to themselves, I've got legs on my own. I don't need to check the ball down. I can roll out of the pocket, buy myself some time, launch it down the field, or I could just take off and run it by myself and pick up 20, 30, 40, 50 yards on the ground by myself. So you will see Jonathan Taylor's targets go down this year, but with that efficiency uptick that he will see, it's going to balance it out. And I'll tell you this right now, the running back 8 price on Underdog and the running back 9 price on ESPN is fantastic. For a running back that has running back 1 upside, you have to take the shot. And the reality is the price is going down. But understand this, as soon as he returns to practice, whenever that may be, I anticipate over the next couple of weeks, his price will rocket back up. That is a reality here. And so you need to draft him today. And if you want to draft him today and you don't have your draft until a couple of weeks from now, go down in the comments and click on the link in the comments to Underdog Fantasy and use code FFN, and they will match your first deposit up to $100. And now we're moving on to our next running back here that you need to draft. It's Alexander Madison of the Minnesota Vikings. Now, I'll be honest here. I actually find this one kind of funny. The reason it's funny is not because I don't think he's any good. Obviously, I think he's good because he's on this list. The reason I find it funny is because before Dalvin Cook got cut, while he was still on the team in Minnesota, Madison, you were drafting him as like the running back 27, running back 28, running back 29. Anywhere in that area on Underdog, you were drafting him as the running back 27, 28, 29. Now, the funny thing to me is that once Dalvin got cut, I assumed, I was like, we're going to see Madison rise to like running back 12 to 15 range. This is what I believe is going to happen. It didn't happen. And honestly, he has stayed super, super affordable. He is the running back 18 on Underdog and the running back 23 on ESPN. He is being drafted as a low-end running back too. And honestly, guys, I don't get it. And the reason why I don't get it is because we know what he can do. We know what he can do with Dalvin Cook out. And to illustrate what he can do, and sometimes I don't think that we're always reminded of this, but what I wanted to do to illustrate what he can do without Dalvin Cook is I wanted to take the games where Alexander Madison played in at least 50% of the snaps or more, and I wanted to isolate those games and look at those per game numbers. So as you can see on the screen here, when he plays in 50% of the snaps or more, he averages 4.4 yards per carry, averages 4.2 targets per game, and 22 fantasy points per game. What we can take away from that, he is a good runner at 4.4 yards per carry and a good pass catching back. And that is leading to that amount of fantasy points per game. That's ridiculous. And if you're worried about the target volume dropping, I can understand that from a perspective of, well, we haven't seen him in a full season. So what does that show us, and where will he be this year as far as targets per game? Here's 2 reasons why that target volume is not going to go away. First of all, Kirk Cousins is not a mobile quarterback. That's one reason, because you know, as I said earlier with Jonathan Taylor, these running backs with not mobile quarterbacks are catching the ball more, as opposed to running backs who have mobile quarterbacks. They don't catch the ball as much. Kirk Cousins doesn't move. And Alexander Madison is super efficient when he gets the ball out of the backfield. 10.7 yards per reception for Alexander Madison in that same sample size. I'm telling you guys, this is going to be the first year, obviously, that we see Alexander Madison in a 3-down bell cow type of role. And at his current price, this is a slam dunk pick right here. And much like our number 3 guy, this is a slam dunk as well. It's Damien Pierce of the Houston Texans. Now, I'll say this. I was super loud about Damien Pierce more earlier in the offseason. I would say May, June, I was really shouting at people to draft Damien Pierce at the price that we were getting him at. Now, I've kind of quieted down on this one just a little bit, just because I've been so loud recently on guys like Travis Etienne and Jackson Smith-Njigba. But let me tell you this, Damien Pierce is absolutely must-draft material this year in fantasy football. When you look at what he did last year in his rookie season on the Houston Texans, keep in mind he missed 4 games at the end of the season due to an ankle injury. When you can see that on the screen, it's actually really impressive, man. What he did on that offense is super impressive. And really the biggest problem here, aside from Houston just not being a good offense as a whole, when you can pinpoint it, Houston's offensive line was atrocious last year. They were absolutely awful. Well, the good thing here is that they have made improvements to that offensive line this offseason, and just the natural progression of some of their younger offensive linemen has led them to being ranked as the number 14 offensive line heading into 2023. Now, that's not top 10. We're not going to go crazy here, but going from a bottom 5 to bottom 10 offensive line now into the middle of the pack is a massive upgrade here for the Houston Texans. And CJ Stroud, I know that most of us probably watched this preseason game last week against the New England Patriots, and he was not good in that game. Trust me, I saw it myself. Interception was gross. It was disgusting. But here's the reality. CJ Stroud, in his first NFL action, was playing the master of rookie quarterbacks, which is Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick dominates rookie quarterbacks. He's not going to face Bill Belichick every week. And my point in saying that is that CJ Stroud is absolutely going to give this offense so much more balance. And what this leads to for Damien Pierce is much better quality touches, much better quality opportunities in this particular offense. Now, the biggest concern I have heard all offseason, I've been hearing this since day one, since I started calling Pierce a great pick in drafts, the biggest problem is Devin Singletary. I don't know why, but people are really worried that Devin Singletary is going to take meaningful volume from Damien Pierce. When you look at the contract that the Houston Texans gave him, they could literally cut him today if they felt like it. They gave him no guaranteed money in his contract. And I am not saying that the Houston Texans are going to cut him. I do believe that he will be the Houston Texans' primary backup. backup being keyword in this offense. But when you look at it from a price perspective, as the running back 21 on Underdog and the running back 17 on ESPN, he's absolutely a must-draft guy in fantasy football this year. And our number 4 guy is Javonte Williams. You need to draft Javonte Williams this year for the Denver Broncos, man. I never would have expected this guy. Never would have expected it. Never would have expected Javonte Williams to be on this list in like May or June. Dude, during that time period, I was actually saying and expressing my thoughts that he may not even play at all in 2023. He shocked the world a couple of weeks ago when not only did he return from this ACL injury, but he was cleared with no restrictions on contact, no restrictions on workload. This guy is a freak of a human being, and we have seen the upside here. We have seen the upside with Javonte Williams in years prior. But the good thing about this is that specifically later on in the season, Javonte Williams is going to give you so much upside. And I will say that the reality here with Javonte Williams is since he's got a guy like Samaje Perine, who they signed in the offseason to help alleviate the issue of maybe Javonte Williams not being there at the beginning. The problem here with that is that I do believe Samaje Perine will be more involved early in the season as they kind of ease Javonte back into a more workhorse role. But I'm telling you, by midseason or by week 10 at the latest, he will be getting 20 touches a game. He is the running back 24 on Underdog and the running back 30 on ESPN. And I'm telling you this, his price has been rising. It has been rising consistently since training camp and the news that we have gotten. So you need to take advantage of it now. And if you want to get into the draft, like I said earlier, the link in the comments below. Moving on to our next guy, it is James Cook of the Buffalo Bills. Similarly to Javonte Williams, never would have expected myself to be this supportive of James Cook, man. I never would have expected it before the start of this season. I was not big on James Cook as a prospect out of college. And on 2022, as you can see on the screen, he left a lot to be desired on the table last year. I mean, he didn't even average 6 carries a game, man. It was just not that good from a fantasy football perspective. And listen, here's the reality of why I think people are having issues with James Cook right now. Is because it's not like Devin Singletary, who was the running back 1 last year, is some world beater, and he just couldn't beat out like Adrian Peterson. Devin Singletary is Devin Singletary. And what you can see with Devin Singletary is that he is on the Houston Texans now and is a backup, like I just said. But he was the running back 1 in Buffalo, and he had a running back 24 finish last year in fantasy football. And the reason why is because he did what Buffalo wants them to do as far as their running backs go. Well, the good thing is, like I said, he's no longer there. Now they have Damien Harris, their offseason signing this offseason. But here's the good part for James Cook. Remember what I was saying a little bit earlier about what Buffalo wants their running backs to do? Well, here's what they want. They want 2 things in specific from their running backs. Keep in mind, this is not a team that runs the ball a ton. They're not a Tennessee Titans. They're not an Atlanta Falcons. They're not even a Minnesota Vikings. They don't run the ball that much. They want 2 things from their running backs. They want efficiency and they want pass catching upside. The good thing for James Cook is he has both of those things. Damien Harris has neither of those things. And the reports out of training camp this offseason have been very reflective of what I'm saying about James Cook. They are saying that they are looking at him as a 3-down back in this offense because he does what they want from their running backs. He is the running back 28 on Underdog right now and the running back 26 on ESPN right now. You got to take this, man, because he is going to see a massive jump in his fantasy finish from 44 last year to possibly a top 24 running back in fantasy football. And the last guy on our list here of must-draft running backs is Khalil Herbert of the Chicago Bears, man. Let me tell you this. Khalil Herbert is must-draft material for honestly so many reasons, man. When you look at what he did last year, he was really good, and especially when you look at his efficiency metrics last year. 5.7 yards per carry is a very efficient number right now. Obviously, he wasn't the running back 1. David Montgomery was the running back 1 last year. Well, now David Montgomery is gone. And the coaches who are in their second year, by the way, this coaching staff, second year, saw firsthand how good Khalil Herbert was in Montgomery's absence and in spell of Montgomery last year. So they already know what they're getting out of Khalil Herbert. They're getting a very efficient running back who can handle the volume when David Montgomery is gone. So obviously right now, the thing about Khalil Herbert is he is in a camp battle, a running back camp battle with D'Onta Foreman to be the starting running back. I believe that he comes out on top for the reasons I listed, because he's efficient and because the coaches saw what he did last year. And the thing about Khalil Herbert, I'm sure many of you saw his touchdown catch and run in their first preseason game a couple of days ago. It was tremendous. Actually, it's something I really haven't seen much from Khalil Herbert. The reality here is that when you look back to the targets per game, averaging 1 target per game, he may disappoint you if you were expecting running back receiving upside. That's not really his game. Maybe he gets a little bit more based on that, but I'm not going to say that it's going to be a tremendous number here. But you can picture this, you can get a starting running back at running back 39 on Underdog and the running back 37 on ESPN. This guy could easily finish as a top 25 running back when he becomes the starter, man. This is a slam dunk pick at his price. I'm telling you, Khalil Herbert is absolutely must-draft material. And if you want to see who the league-winning running backs will be in 2023, click on this video right here.